Well, good afternoon. The lights come on, so it must be 1 o'clock. I will call the December 20th meeting of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority to order. Under items from the chairman, I want to welcome our newest member. Adam Edwards is filling Brian Daugherty's position, and Adam, we are happy to have you here. You want to tell us just a few things about you?
Sure will. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone has finished their Christmas shopping. I know that I still got a little bit left to do, so glad to be here. I am a fifth generation Edwards, and so my family, you may recognize the name Edwards Park, Edwards Hospital, Edwards Development, and so that is actually my family. And so it is an honor to come full circle to serve on the OCRRA today. And then my late father was retired Major Adam Edwards for the Oklahoma City Police Department. So he worked for the city for about 30 years. So glad to be here. So I am, a little bit about myself, retired football player. Had a cup of coffee in the NFL for a couple of years. And then for the last 20 years, I've been trying to find a cure for cancer and work in the public space in terms of public-private partnerships with nonprofits, and then also help people buy and sell businesses. Well, one of my passions as a former athlete is helping former athletes come back to their alma mater and finish their degrees. And so we're excited about that and excited about serving on the River Redevelopment Authority. So glad to be here.
Good. We're happy to have you.
Yeah.
Welcome. Item B is an update from the River Use Committee. As you remember, we have Adam, we have an endowment at the Oklahoma City Community Foundation that we get interest money available every year to use down on the river. And that has built up over the last few years, and we've asked the River Use Committee to look at some items that the staff put together that possibly we could use that on. And Kathy, I'll ask you to give a brief report of what your committee found.
On December the 6th, and this was not the first time that we had gathered to talk about the possibility of projects at the parks or development along the river. We've got approximately $321,000 of endowment distribution dollars. And so we reviewed our parks here in Oklahoma City and looked at development along the river, especially around Western. We concluded that although $321,000 is a great deal of money, it's really not the impact that we would like to see the River Trust make along the river. So what we're going to do is we're going to revisit this project in a few months to see if any development has started along the river that we could help enhance, or if we would have enough funds to really make an impact at our city parks. So it's the recommendation of the committee to review this in several months, and then we will get back to you with what we decided to do.
Very good. Any questions? Kathy and the committee? Okay. Item 3 is the minutes from the October 25th meeting. Are there any changes or corrections? Need a motion? We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. And that item passes. Item 4 is the consent docket. We have the oil and gas revenue report, the river corridor events update. We have a revocable permit for the Braum's Holiday Parade, which has already happened. This is a timing issue that had to go before council, and we're simply receiving it at this point. And an activity and use agreement with the Arts Council for opening night using the river trail on the north side of the river. Any questions on those? Motion? Cast your vote. And that passes. Item 5 is the primary agenda items. We have a river project summary.
Good afternoon. My name is Joe Shumway, Oklahoma City Public Works. In the summary, Public Works continues to manage a series of projects along the Oklahoma River. And I know we tend to kind of focus on the 7-mile stretch, but one of the unique things about the river corridor is that in the drainage basin that it sits in, we're actually gathering water from about 72,000 acres of stormwater runoff. Sometimes that wildly impacts some of our river lakes. As we've continued to work towards keeping our SCADA system, the automated system, operable, we've had several technology upgrades, hydraulic improvements, and structural repairs being made along the way. As part of our long-term maintenance plan, debris removal has obviously been one of the biggest ticket items. Currently, right now, we're actually reviewing our current fleet and assessing what performance enhancements that we could do to maybe make that job a little better. Also, the life cycle of our fleet's starting to age pretty good, so we're looking for some replacements. Some of the things that we have discussed previously was sediment removal and the dredging. We're still moving forward with that. Currently, we're trying to get our permitting in place, and we're still lacking some of the materials that were recently approved. Some of the upcoming projects that we do have moving forward is our river maintenance facility addition. Bids are set to open on that January 11th, so we hope to see good numbers and good things out of that. Multiple other projects are also being considered for a planned draining of the eastern basin. Some of the things that are being looked at are the ferry landing for the O'Connor site. We're also looking to include some bank stabilization improvements, flow line cleaning, or possibly the Bricktown Canal area. We're also looking to enhance some anchoring for the debris barriers that are currently located at Lightning Creek and Brock Creek, and possibly some sediment removal that'll be taking place while that basin is drained. To kind of give you an idea, this is one of our debris removal vessels. It's been an extremely effective tool over the years of service that it's been. This was actually when it was relatively new and in good shape, but it makes collecting those floatables extremely easy. So we'll be looking to replace a vessel like this, hopefully here pretty quick. Is there any questions?
Extremely easy.
We try to make it look that way.
It looks like fun.
It is,
but
for a
I'm
little
not
while.
sure. I'm not sure it's easy. Very good. Any questions?
Thank you.
Motion to receive that. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item B is a quarterly River Sport Foundation update. Mike? Great parade, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Huge turnout. And I told Mike that night that's almost like the crowds when we first started turning out. They had to delay the show a little bit because people were backed up trying to get in off the street. So good night.
Thank you. Yeah, it was great. Got some traffic issues we're going to have to work on for next year, but that's a good problem to have. So, well, Mike Knopp with River Sport Foundation. It's great to see everyone here today. I want to start off real quick. This first image on the slide, this is from our River Sport Youth League Championship that happened in early November. I just wanted to underscore, this is actually the Cristo Rey boat. We have teams from across the metro, but particularly in many of our urban schools. And we have a video, and I can't play today, but it's on our website or on our YouTube page. I just encourage you, if you get a chance, you want to see something motivating, take a look at that, because I've been to a lot of national championships and world championships in the sport of rowing, but to watch these athletes finish the race and go to the dock, and the tears that were flowing and the cheers and the hugs, I mean, you would have thought they won, again, the national championship. But for them, it was. I mean, for them, this was, a huge moment in their life, and it's opening up doors they never thought were there. And so it just really underscored the power of that program and how we're really working to engage the expansion of that. I'm we're soon to announce we do have a partner that's going to help us with some of the fleet renewal. We were literally taping some boats together before this race because they've been so well used, and that'll encourage. We hope to do actually a christening of a Douglas High School boat this spring, so we're really excited about that. So let's go ahead. From a financial update, you can see the graph there. We have had just some general comments. Some of the expenses were higher than budgeted because we had this unexpected international event that was relocated from Russia, or that occurred in August, and that was a great success, but it was a challenge that we did try to react to, and we did have sponsors that offset that additional unexpected expense. Anecdotally, I'd say a few things about the summer operations. You know, we do think that the economy had some impact on, and this was just not us alone. We looked and benchmarked other parallel kind of attraction, adventure type operations, and that was seen throughout the industry. But in the end, we were happy with everything. Was continue to get great feedback. And one thing that was a bright spot, and you'll see a little bit more later, is the sales, the group sales is really exploding. We had we're having companies like Braum's, for example, we had nearly 2,000 people that came out all day, and we were able now, with all the different activities we have in the venue, we're able to accommodate that. And they're going to come back. So I think that word is starting to spread, and we're seeing a lot of growth in our group sales area. We've had some additional expense in things like insurance and things that are just rising around. And of course, we've been affected like everyone else with inflation and some just things that shouldn't cost as much as they do, but they are now. So we're having to react to that. But so if there's any questions on any of the financials, we can move on, and you can certainly ask me at the end as well. The Oklahoma Regatta Festival returned, and boy, it was a great success. We've been on a roll this year with some really outstanding events. Thankfully, I mean, next year's a little slower from an event perspective, which is good. I mean, we can kind of catch up a little bit with some other things, but the Regatta Festival really was extremely well received. That event occurred a week after the lower park opened, so you're starting to see what happens when the park meets the river and how we can really start to activate that whole area. Teams were really raving about it. One point I'd also like to highlight is our corporate rowing. Again, they're going to benefit from the new boats that we hope to get. We had a team from the Black Alumni Association Coalition that was formed as part of the River Bowl, if you recall, we did in August. Shantae Alexander, she produced, there was a little bit of a documentary on that, and it just came out. It's really cool to see how engaged that community, and they raced at the regatta, and so having that alumni group, I think, is going to help us engage further into the schools, but that was a real bright spot. We've heard that next year it's going to be quite a bit larger from a because the word is just out about how great this event is in the rowing world. And if you go on to the next slide, David, we have a lot of buzz building about the future, and that'll be touched on here in a second. As Chairman Mars had mentioned, the Braum's Holiday River Parade was a great success this year. We were sort of overwhelmed by the crowd. I mean, it was a great problem to have, but having Braum's was a great partner. They helped promote it, and I just thought, I thought it was a great family entertainment. I mean, it was a great water ski show. I mean, where else can you see skiing elves and the big farm truck going down the river, and then I will tell you, it was all hands on deck. We had more boats decorated this year than in recent years. So I think there were 17 boats, and each department within River Sport took a boat too. So we had our youth rowing and our kayak team and our so it was fun to see everyone get engaged, and they got very creative, and so there were some really great entries. And just like Red Bull Rapids, after that, we had so many people say, I want to do that, so now we got to bring that, we want to do that again. Well, heard a lot of comments about people that now want to bring their boats next year having seen it, so we're excited about that. Let's go ahead and move on. This is a shot from the Regatta, and our formula is we're trying to innovate the sport through some new things like adding, of course, night racing, but pyrotechnics, which one of these teams, if you would have seen them across the line with the fire, they literally almost fell out of the boat. They were kind of it was quite shocking, but it's a lot of buzz. But our whole formula has led U.S. rowing to actually do something I've been trying to promote for over a decade. And again, it's the most traditional, the oldest sport in the country, so it's hard to adapt, but we have been trying to innovate, and so they have embraced what we're doing here in Oklahoma City, and they've chosen to combine their largest national championship events into one and do what they call the Row Fest. And that will happen in 2024, where the U.S. National Masters Championship will be located with their club national championship over 9 to 10 days in July of 2024, which will be 4,000 to 5,000 people a day from all over the country, because they want people to experience night racing and whitewater rafting when you're here and doing all these other things. So it kind of becomes a vacation, but also using the boathouses for clinics and indoor racing. And now that indoor rowing is becoming so popular via Peloton and others, that engaging the community in that way. So that was for us internally quite a milestone to see the national governing body really embracing and bringing that brand new event to Oklahoma City, which will be huge. Go ahead and move on. This is a new other area, esports. Believe it or not, we've had a lot of excitement about this and VR, like VR rowing and bringing technology into the mix. We had Oklahoma City Public Schools fall championship at the Whitewater Center, and they just loved it. They had a great experience, and to see these kids, and they learn, again, similar to rowing, the teamwork, the communication, working together, all of these things. And a lot of these kids then we're working with the schools and blending this with the Youth Rowing League, actually having both at the river. So that's exciting. Cox has embraced this, and we now have Cox, it's part of our Winter Glow program, to have esports and VR events at the river right now. Go ahead and move on. Thrive Outside Convening. I just wanted to mention that I've mentioned before that we were selected one of 4 cities in the country by the Outdoor Industry Association's foundation to kind of lead the way in engaging our community in building outdoor culture. And because of the success of the first pilot programs, us, Atlanta, San Diego, and Grand Rapids, they've expanded the program. Well, they brought all those cities to Oklahoma City 2 weeks ago because they view us as a big success story in that effort. And so you see them skiing, and they did other things, but the point is the way that we're engaging and hearing our community members talk about their experience from the Oklahoma City Public Schools, and talking about the engagement of the Native American student population, and all different sectors of the community, including OU, with this program that we've piloted called the River Runners, which is a pilot program leveraging outdoor recreation to reach adolescents about mental health. That's another important thing, and it's been very successful. So we shared all of those stories and continue to see what an incredible thing this Outdoor Foundation Thrive program has been for us in this city, bringing so many different groups together to get kids outside. So operationally, we're right in the mode of, if anyone wants to come power wash for a day, you're welcome to join us, but there's a lot of spraying going on in the Whitewater Center to get it ready for next year, partly because also we're adding a new filtration, enhancing our filtration system, which you see on the right-hand side. This is part of one of the surplus fund projects through MAPS 3 that'll give us this glass media filtration that will, we believe, really, and although I would say last year the water looked much better, it was a lot of tremendous effort to get it to that point. This will allow us to easier maintain a higher clarity and color, better color. And so we're very optimistic, because that is a comment we get from everybody, especially the past, and I think that will really impact things. Doing a lot of other repair and maintenance throughout the venue. There's new LED screens that either have been installed or are going to be installed. One was donated by OG&E. It's a Jumbotron that's on our Rotary Point, which will be a great feature throughout the season. And then our bike park expansion, we're still working on that and hope to get that underway in the spring. Go ahead. And this is what I referenced before about our sales efforts, and I just wanted to give you a flavor of all the different things that are being sold and promoted. And this is, again, how we generate revenue to support the operations. All the different venues become really one of the most popular wedding venues in the city, which has been interesting. There was, don't know if you noticed, there was actually one going on right before the Holiday River Parade. So, I mean, it kind of go at the UCO Boathouse. Go ahead and go to the next slide. And then you get into like Winter Glow, all the different team building activities that we offer through our water programs, our high adventure programs, dragon boating. One of the fiercest part of the regatta was the seniors who were racing, these senior centers and the dragon boats. I mean, it's, again, we try to emphasize the intergenerational nature of everything. And then go ahead and go to the next slide. And then the adventure picnics, all the different the parties that we can offer, the group experiences. This is something we really want to lean into and grow in future years, and have had just really great feedback. We have had a real surge in holiday parties as well. Go ahead. And then holiday promotions. If you haven't been to the Whitewater Center, I encourage you to come maybe during the holidays and check it out. We've got it very nicely decorated. We just had the first ever indoor canoe kayak World Cup on Saturday, which was a virtual event around the world. We were one of the host sites, and it was at 7:30 in the morning because it was around the world, and they were racing on kayak machines. But you can see that all these different activities, from skiing to curling to skating, the esports, ice climbing, all that's going on throughout next week through the holidays. And we have 50% off our seasonal membership right now. And then the Glow that's included if you get a membership. Go ahead. And then I want to kind of close out by kind of sharing this really, really cool thing that Gatorade identified Riversport due to just some really great feedback from the Women's Sports Foundation. We were selected as only one of 3 organizations in the entire country for Gatorade to highlight and promote as part of their Fuel Tomorrow initiative, which is promoted at our Casey's convenience stores across Oklahoma. So they interviewed our coaches, our athletes. There's a lot of great testimonials. But again, another just great affirmation for the programming that's happening. So, and that's all I have. I'll open it up for any questions, and happy holidays.
Gee, is that all you got going on, Mike?
Yeah.
I will say this, on top of everything else Mike is doing, he briefed the foundation board the other day on dealing with what's going to be the pedestrian bridge from the north side to the south side down there by the O'Connor. When I say dealing with that, trying to make sure that it doesn't impact the rowing and may even make it a better lane situation. And on top of that, DOT's talking about redoing I-35 bridge down there, which is a whole nother situation also. So on top of everything else, he gets to try to run around and make sure that they remember that we're here.
Yeah.
So thank you for doing that, Mike.
Okay. Thank you.
It. Any questions for Mike? Okay, I need a motion to receive that. Cast your vote. And that passes. Item C is a MAPS office update on Lower Scissortail Park. You got something to say other than it's real busy?
Just real busy, real busy. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Tim Jones. I'm the project manager, standing in for David Todd, the program manager, to give you a few little updates on the Lower Park and where we are today and kind of how we started out. I didn't put too many pictures in there because we've been here all day, but you'll see a few. You go to the next slide. Next slide. As you see, we have a few items set out where you can see we have the park. It's the soccer field. We have the woodland play area, Skydance Bridge, Whispering Pines, the Cottonwood Forest, Sports Pavilion, the sports courts, the promenade, the hollow, and the woodland trail area, the fields, the hill pavilion, what we call the knuckle, and the overlook hill. Next slide. Looking back, you can see some of the things that we were going through construction. I didn't go all the way back in construction. I went back to where we started putting in the grass. But one thing you probably all know with this hill, looking at the hill, we faced a problem at the hill. That's one reason why I put it in here. As we went through and we did our phase 1 and phase 2 of our testing in the area, we ended up missing a spot that was totally vegetated with trees, grass, and everything. But in this hill area, we found a battery pit that almost spanned out to this whole hill. Cost us in our project close to $500,000 in our project that took away from the park. But you can just imagine what was going on back in the day that they were putting all these batteries in the ground, and we end up finding it. And we got most of it out, capped it all off, and it's nice and ready now. So we have a hill now. We have what we call Overlook Hill. We didn't think we were going to get to that point, but we got there. Next slide. As you can see it again, Overlook Hill, as we worked that area, got all that stuff covered up and moved forward with it. Next slide. Moving on to 13th Street, you're seeing now the progress of the park coming together. Again, this was one of the difficult things at the park, trying to get the utilities out of the park. That was a big fight as well, trying to get all the utility companies out of the park, but we did, and we were able to move forward and keep this project going. Next slide. You're looking at the sports courts coming together. If you guys pass by anytime, you know the Oklahoma weather. We went from hot to cold to windy to rainy and everything else, but when these courts came together, it's not been a day that nobody has been on these courts. Everybody's loving this park right now. Next slide. Moving on, looking at the connection that we're getting ready to connect to the upper park. This is the Skydance Bridge moving north into the upper park area. Next slide. And you can see it looking back, a west view looking back at it, connecting to. Next slide. We're looking at our nature play area, looking over the soccer field and our sports pavilion. We had another scenario come up with that as well, where we tried to connect the two parks together, and we were going to have to run fiber lines to the upper park, and which was going to cost us another $1 million to do so. But we ended up finding out that we're in a day and age to where we can use wireless. We use wireless, and City IT really helped us out on that area, saved us millions of dollars on that connection. Next slide. And we're still looking at the the soccer field going in. That was one of the things that we didn't think come opening day that we was going to have our top layer for the soccer field, but they came through. You can see the underlayment going in, and they were working it, getting it ready for our opening day. Next slide. Looking back again now, going back into construction being somewhat complete. We have some of the projects complete. We're still looking at now. We have punch list items that we're still trying to finish up on. We have a few what we call the light masts that we still are waiting on features, lamp features to come in on those. We're still waiting for the contractor to do a few things around each of the pavilions. Next slide. And you can see that some of the action that's going on Overlook Hill. As soon as we opened up the park, you can see some of the action already going on. Next slide. Looking back at the Hill Pavilion, this is just a shot showing you the beauty of it, showing you the trees, the lights, the grass, and the pavilion itself. Next slide. Looking back at Skydance Bridge, we're looking at the promenade connecting to Skydance Bridge, getting ready to go to the upper park, looking at the nature play as well. Coming together great. You can see some of the sports courts in that shot as well, and it's just one thing that I didn't think the lower park was going to be as big a success as it was as the upper park, but it turned out to be awesome. Next slide. Looking at the nature play again, you can see some of the features of the nature play. You can see the trails, some of the play areas, the wall, the trees. We left some native trees in there. In doing so, we left those, and then we had that ice storm, and we lost quite a few of them, but we were able to replace and then even save some of those trees too. That made a great feature into the park. Next slide. Now you get to see the finished product of our soccer field. We were looking at this, didn't know if we were going to make opening day with the soccer field, but they came through and they did a great job placing the soccer field. And then if you go out there even today, you'll probably still see folks out there this time of day, at night, rain, sleet, snow, they're out there. They're out there playing on these fields. Next slide. You can see some of the kids came out as soon as we got it open, having their fun, doing their thing. Next slide. And the pickleball court, I didn't know what pickleball was when I first got this project. I looked it up, and it's something that I want to learn how to play. I'm watching them play it on a daily. It looks fun, and it is fun. So it's working. It's working. It's bringing the community together. Next slide. Basketball court. The only downside I had about the basketball court is when we got ready to open up that day, we had somebody that wanted to vandalize the court. They took one of the scooters and I guess just burnt rubber over the logos. So, but our staff was able to get that stuff off and have a nice looking court when we opened up. Next slide. And again, that was one of the pictures before we got the top layering in for the soccer field, but that's looking back at the soccer field and the practice field next to it and the sports pavilion. Next slide. And trying to get a whole capture of the upper park as well. If you hadn't seen it or passed by it, the Feather, our art piece, is actually going in on the corner, and they're putting it in, and we didn't ever think we were going to get it, and it's going in. Next slide. And we had substantial completion on August 31st. We awarded completion of the contract on September 11th, and now we have punch list items that we're trying to finish, and then we will get total completion once those punch list items are done, and then we will have a total complete park. That's all I have. Have any questions for me?
Very good. Any questions? I'm sure you're excited to get it open.
Excited, but we got Union Station now coming aboard, so it's going to be another great adventure.
Thank you.
Y'all have a great evening.
I need a motion to accept that report. Cast your vote. And it passes. Item D is the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority schedule of cash receipts and disbursements for period ending September 30th. Do we have any questions? Any motions? And that passes. Item 6 is the claims docket. Got a few claims on there. Any questions? Any motion? And that passes. Item 7 is comments by staff. We have the director's report.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's Melinda McMillan Miller, the Director of Parks and Recreation. I don't have anything further to add to the director's report unless any of you have any specific questions. And if not, I wish all of you very happy holidays.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Motion to accept that report. Thank you, Melinda. We got a second? I don't have a vote come up yet.
It should be there. It's just, you can vote verbally, and I'll change it.
Okay. There you go. That passes. Any comments from trustees? Any citizens to be heard? Adam, welcome again. We're happy to have you. Hope everybody has a Merry Christmas and a very safe holiday season, and we are adjourned.